Damn, they up 10.
Well, I'm recording live, so you said they're up 10. Our Knicks you talking about.
Yeah. Oh, hey, here
All
we
right.
go.
Yeah, we're live. We're live. But listen, me and you are big Knicks fans. First and foremost, shout out to you. Thank you for joining me on
Appreciate you
this
for having me.
episode of the Break Room. Now, the funny thing is, for the first 15 years of my life, I only referred to you as Junior, my cousin Junior. It was like maybe late teens, like, wait, what? What's his first name? Joseph? What? Joseph?
It's
Like,
actually
what?
it's actually a funny story about that. That I wasn't Joe or Joseph until I came to the States.
Where were you? Where were you back on the island? Where were you in Haiti? Where were you?
And in Haiti, you basically go by your middle name.
Mm,
So, like all my report cards, the only thing that had my first name was my birth certificate. So all my report cards, everything I've ever had, like it was my middle name and my last name, and then which also was a J. The most traditional common Haitian J you could think of. And that's what I went by. And then my family called me Junior or whatever. But my friends either call me by my last name. Nobody ever called me by my first name until I came to the States.
really?
Or maybe like, nah, maybe a teacher once in a while, like, but 9 times out of 10, it was either my last name or family would call me Junior or
Right.
whatever nickname they had for me. So, like, that's how I could tell where I know you from by the nickname you called me.
You know, there's power in that, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't have the same experience as you growing up. I'm strictly born and raised here in America, born and raised here in New York. But I will say, even growing up in my friendship circles, plural, depending on the circle that was reaching out to me or calling me, I know who it was. Like if I heard D Nice, because my last name's Big, what?
Mm.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's Ricardo and them. Let me turn around. If it's if I hear Curly Sue, because once upon a time I had hair. But
Mhm.
then I know, okay, that's Mega and them. You know what I'm saying? Like you know who calls you what. It's culture now.
Exactly. Like me, for example, like if you called me like a certain nickname, I knew you were from my neighborhood, from playing basketball in the neighborhood from where I grew up. If you called me another nickname, I knew you were from school because it was a nickname one of my teachers gave me because he gave everybody a nickname. So now that's what you went by, and that was it. And then some of them were corny, some of them were like embarrassing. But either way, like he gave me like three of them, and those are the three that I went by. So I know I went to school with you.
Mm,
If you call me Joe, I know you in America.
right.
Either college, mainly college, or some high school.
Mm,
But that's pretty much it. But like, yeah, it's mainly whatever nickname I get, and then even in adulthood, oddly enough, I get like certain groups of friends call me different nicknames,
right.
and then my family, of course, even within my family, I could tell like my mom had one nickname for me, and only certain people knew it. So I knew if anybody called me by that name, I knew you were like, I guess, inner circle. Everybody else just called me Junior.
Okay. First of all, I'm thinking about my mom. Mind you, today's my mom's birthday.
Yeah, I know I called her. We spoke to her earlier.
Yeah, shout out to her. Shout out to her. Shout
Yeah,
out to
shout out to
Aquarius.
moms.
Shout out to Aquarius people. Mind you, full disclosure, because I know nothing about astrology. So when I say shout out to Aquarius people, I'm just talking about my ass because I don't know how good or
Uh,
bad they are.
that makes two of us. My mom's birthday's next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, but the 16th, the day before Jordan's birthday.
So damn, your mom was before you. Your mom was in February. Mommy
16th.
Dada was in February. I had an aunt. I had my mom's older sister in February. Yo, the February women are interesting.
I do you one better.
Go ahead.
My wife's grandmother
Mm-hmm.
has the same birthday as your grandmother,
No kidding.
Feb 10.
Feb 10. Yo, crazy.
And then her mother's birthday was 2 days ago on Sunday, the 2nd.
Makes you wonder what is 9 months ago? What's going on
Listen, bro.
9 months?
I
What are y'all
mean,
doing? What month is this?
it's like what, September?
Yeah.
No,
No. You figure what? January.
October,
9 months? Not 9 months? No, you got January.
November. No. Yes, November, December, January, February. So November. Damn, what's popping in November? November,
Yeah,
December.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. But yeah,
Christmas gifts. Get some
Christmas.
good Christmas gifts. That's what it is. Or getting ready to get some good gifts. People been putting out.
You're right. Jesus. Jesus. All right. So okay. So where we leave off of? So okay. Names.
Mm.
Mind you, sidebar. I can't believe I'm doing this, but my mother, she's the only person in the world who refers to me as Mew. It's like, so if I hear Mew, I'm like, oh, that's her. That's gotta be her. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, like me, like I think Papi John, like if he had a nickname for me, and then for like we just call each other Chief now, so that's how he knows. Like like I know it's him, he knows it's me. That's my uncle, who's
Mm-hmm.
shouts to him,
Yeah,
and he had nicknames for everybody. He used to call Stanley Charles Barkley.
and we'll get into that too. Just that whole experience of cousinhood and growing up in those households. We'll get into that, but
Mm.
okay. So you're my big cousin, like a big brother. I appreciate all the guidance you've ever given me, all the stuff you ever given me, all the lookouts, all the favors. First and foremost,
Nah,
little
bro.
things here and there. You have always been a model of someone to look at and see how they moving. Um, you know, I don't know. Your story we'll get into, and I wonder how you're able to tell it because, in my point of view, I feel like my era, my decade, my generation of cousins, we were able to have people above us to look at for models. So it wasn't as difficult to figure out, okay, he wears that. That's what goes together. He's wearing that. Okay, Stanley plays this music. Okay, so I should check and tap into that. And so wears this. I have an older sister who's 4 years older than me, but she gave me a lot of culture and how to style myself and dress myself in the '90s. So, I want you to understand before we continue this conversation that there's definitely a middle tier of kids who came up under y'all who were silently watching y'all. But I don't know who y'all were watching. You know what I'm saying? If y'all had anybody to model and watch. So I said to say before you tell me that, take me back to you know it's 50 years this fall, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, whoa. I'm like, damn, bro. Yeah,
The
50
big
years this
five
fall,
zero,
big
the big
50.
the
But
big 50.
actually, if you don't mind, just to touch on what you were just talking about, it's funny that you mentioned that because if I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, yeah, you had, let's say, me, Teach, Fitz, whatever to look up to, Stan. We had nothing but women to look above us.
I'm saying.
Like,
That's what I'm wondering.
like, I mean, if we're really thinking about it, all the men that would have been directly above us, like your dad, like above me, like your dad, who else? I guess my uncles, but still, you like in terms of cousins, like your dad would have, but everybody else was a woman. Like so, and then because all the guys went stateside.
Right.
So, I didn't have a male influence in the house till I was probably 16.
Wow.
And that was 2 years before I left.
Wow.
Either, I think, no, I think 16, 14 or 16. It was my mom's cousin who came down from St. Mark because he was working here anyways, working there. So he just figured he'd just crash and save up on some dough. And that was like, I guess, I mean, we've had guys in the house, whatever, who used to take care of the house, come in and clean whatever, this and that, and look after me. But there was no like someone you could say is a male presence. Like my dad showed up, to pay a bill once, like to pay my school bills. That was about it. But yeah, so what we had to look up to were like basically women like me, quiet as kept. Listen, a lot of my trust issues came from what I saw growing up. Growing up in the house, being the only boy and like nothing but women, and you see like some of the schemes and somehow, like,
Right.
and my mom, she was a hard, heavy-handed disciplinarian. She ain't take nothing from anybody.
Right.
Listen, when those girls went to go out and party, they found a way out the house. And the little old me was like, so that's how I do it.
And that's a big lie you discover later in life, like when you find out your parents were out partying. I was like, wait, y'all were judging us?
Yeah.
And I've heard stories like, really? That's how y'all got down? Excuse me. Excuse me. So yeah,
But
I could go ahead.
sorry, back to the point I was getting to is that, so for me, in terms of style tips or anything like that, it's weird to say, But in a way, I was kind of like like looking at y'all to the side, like, okay, let me see that. Oh, okay, all right. Like it's weird. I know is what 4 months younger than me. I mean, I seen some of his stuff, but and I was like, all right, I could put that together. I could put this there. And I was looking around, and like it wasn't just like looking at y'all. I'd look at like our friend group.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what they. All right, okay, okay. So like, so when I go for my big school shopping before I head back to Haiti, so me and Poppy John will go to the Bronx. I already knew in my head what I wanted to wear. I already knew in my head how I wanted to look going back to Haiti, because I already spent the whole summer peeping whatever the styles were, whatever was hot, whatever was popping.
How early were you? Let's take me back to 40 years ago, or how early were you back in your neighborhood in Haiti with certain styles, certain looks, depending on what you got from the States? Like were you looked at like, oh, what's he wearing, or like how were you received too? Like, what was it like for you to be in your community but having States connections?
Yeah, I don't know how to say. I don't want to say if I was considered a lucky dude. Like, I mean, my mom had a lot of respect in the neighborhood, so because she was one of the people that was there for the longest.
And what neighborhood is this exactly? Explain to people
All right, this is a
listening.
town called Delma, Delmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the middle of Port-au-Prince, or I guess right outside of Port, but it's considered Port-au-Prince, just like Queens would be considered New York City.
Right.
So it's part of, or wherever I'm at now would be considered Metro Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah, so it's this town called Delma. It's very close. It's in the city, lower middle class neighborhood. It was actually it's weird to say it was a project because it wasn't a project. It wasn't a project like y'all call it, but it was a city that was built by the municipality. It was two cities, the city where your grandmother grew up and then the one across the street where my mom grew up. Those
Right.
were two municipal cities, so that's why they call it first city and second city where they grew up.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but before, sorry to interject, but those municipality buildings, I've seen like people have reunions because they grew up in the same. Like I
Yeah.
think not Costa, I forgot who it was. They had like
Hmm.
a little party. They had like a little reunion party based on people who grew up in certain tenements and certain.
Yeah, no, it's not. It wasn't tenant. It's literally. It was like. It was a developer came and like somebody would come in here. Like you go to a sub development out here. It's basically houses built in a neighborhood. They just built two neighborhoods of houses of like, and people just came in. I'm not 100% sure on the history of it if it was built for affordability or anything, but it was just these two developments that were built across from each other. And
Right.
your family, like most of our family lived on one side, and then my mom lived in the other with my dad. Well, in one
Okay.
city, my dad lived in the other neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you're in Delma.
Hmm.
This is the 80s probably by now. You're
Yeah.
going back and you're going for summertime in New York, summertime in America, and you're picking up on styles and whatnot and patterns, bringing it back to Haiti, back to home.
Mm.
How what's that experience like for you at that time?
I never considered it, but I do remember. It's like every time I came back, I felt like big man on campus. Like yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, everybody who comes back feels like that. It wasn't like I was the only one traveling, but I was the only one that was always gone for the summer. So I'm coming back like, yeah, Junior's back. What's up? It was good. So I felt like
Right.
big man on campus because it wasn't like I was really able to really leave the house anyway. So I took whatever opportunity I could
I hear
just to get
that.
my little shine while I was outside because I was on lockdown until I found it. I had to. If it wasn't for sports, I wouldn't know what outside looked like.
Your mom was that tough.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those like, if you want friends, let them come to your house. Like, well, and I'll curate who you can have as friends growing up, or if you want to go play sports, like she got me into soccer as a kid. That was weekend activity, so she didn't have to pay for somebody to look for me while she's at work on Saturday,
Right.
which was dope. Then came when I turned 13 was karate, which in terms of culture, by the time you're 13 in Haiti, you're able to take public transportation by yourself, doing every like, nah, me, bro. She sent me with your grandmother's sister. She will she would send me on that public transportation. I had to literally find my own way through like a friend in high school and be like, yo, can I catch a ride with you? That way, so, like, because it was embarrassing. Like, you're in karate class and then you see like your great aunt in the balcony looking down at you, like, and she's waiting for you because, she's waiting for you to get back so she could take a cab with you, back home. It was pretty embarrassing.
And back then, would you say traveling would be either what, cabs or like a tap bus? What
Top
we
top. It was a top top.
top?
Yeah,
Mm.
and that was
And a
when
top and explain a top for people who don't know Haitian culture or Haiti island transportation.
sure a top top comes in three forms, actually. It comes in flatbed or a pickup truck. So they'll take a pickup, like, like, and then they'll put a cab over the back. And it's either metal and wood, and it's ornate and it's decorated with all these, biblical sayings and art and everything. And it has benches, so it has two-row benches. Imagine like if you've seen Captain America: The First Avenger.
Right,
Remember those World War I trucks
right.
that had like the tarp over it, and they had like two rows of benches. But it's like that, but imagine like a small pickup, not like those F-1050s, but like a smaller pickup.
Okay.
It would
Yeah, I
have
get it.
those. It would have something like that, like with those things, but without the tarp. And then people would just come in and pay, and then they just pay the driver when they get down. And then the other one is a mini, same concept. It's a minibus, with a little row seat, like those little vans, like bigger vans, like minibus, but bigger than a van.
Right.
And then almost like a Sprinter, but old school. And they would just do the same thing, ornate designs and everything. This also carried more people, and it cost a little more, but still the same thing, ran up and down. And then you had the big ones, which one those were top tops, but they were more camion, which was trucks.
Mm,
Those were flatbeds that were also decorated with the big tarp, big metal and wood tarp over it, and those tend to go more cross country. Like this, if you're going to another province, if you want to carry provisions on the rooftop or whatever, you can get those to travel. So they come in like three different variations. There may have been more since I left, but those are the three that I remember.
right. The three main ones. Interesting.
Mm.
And your mom was like, "No, you're not getting on
Nah,
those."
you're not getting on that without supervision. You ain't getting on that without. I'm like, without a grown up. I'm like, my friends are driving at 13, and you're telling me
No
I can't.
kidding.
And I'm serious. And you're telling me I can't take public transportation by myself. Like, ma, bro, listen. First of all, I just lied because I would have never been able to talk back to her like I just did right now. I just lied. Sorry, people.
Right.
But yeah, but that's pretty much. But growing up there in the '80s, it was pretty much. It's not what it is now, bro. You didn't know what you didn't know. You didn't know you had it, or you were under a dictatorship, or that some people had it really bad. All you knew was that the streets were clean. You didn't know you weren't doing well. You didn't know you weren't doing poorly. It was just like life went, everything was nice, streets were clean, the place was beautiful, tourism was popping. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, there was oppression. This guy was freaking disappearing his opposition, sending people
Mm,
to the sugarcane fields, having Makut still. It just so happens that his son just didn't have his strength or his resolve or merely his intelligence. He ended up losing it in '86.
like when
Oh,
you say
for the record,
Makus,
I'm not saying I agree with the man's methods. I'm just saying that
no, no, no.
the reason he lost power was because he wasn't as cunning or ruthless as his daddy.
As his father, yeah.
Yes.
And when you say Makus, are you referencing the infamous Toto Makus? Am I saying that
Yeah.
correctly?
Yeah, don't throw Makuts, but we just call them Makuts. They were they were Papa Doc's secret police, their own
Police.
personal private military, paramilitary, and they basically they were almost like his own secret service, and
Right.
they were in charge of investigating, dissenters.
Okay.
Like you couldn't really speak out loud against the government for fear of being disappeared. Like we've had like I think historical icons being disappeared because they spoke against Papa Doc. Yeah.
What would Wow, that's deep. That's I had to take back and process that because I could visualize it. Um, okay, so you're saying that it's the '80s. You don't really know that you're in a dictatorship because you're just living life.
I'm a kid. Like it's the
You're a
'80s.
kid.
I'm a kid. I'm not even nowhere. Well, towards the end, I was in my teens, but I was like, young kid. So all I knew is I didn't really know much of a Haitian life, except for on the weekends, was soccer on Saturdays, and if my mom felt like it, we go uptown. We go to the beach on Sunday. Like I just lived a regular, I guess, suburban kid life
Right,
without, without the outside experience,
right,
except for when I went to the unless it was accompanied by family.
right. It's funny. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about just childhood, like even pre-adolescent moments and memories and whatnot. And the other day for my mom's birthday, which is today, the other day on Saturday, I went to go see her. And as a grown man walking through those fields and that catwalk to her upstairs, I'm just realizing how big I am and how this place used to be bigger to me. And then, you start wondering, kids in the neighborhood you haven't seen in like decades. I wonder how Nini's doing. I wonder how Serge is doing.
Mm,
I wonder how Sergo is doing. I wonder how this one's doing, that one doing. And
yeah,
you haven't seen people in decades, and you hope that they're okay. But you realize, wow, people are really moments in time in your life. People are really seasons, sometimes.
absolutely.
What are some people that back then in that childhood, I mean, in that age range, in that neighborhood, that you were like, this person meant this to the block or that to the block, or this was so and so, my neighbor? Like, who are some people that you still think about or wonder about from back then,
Wonder
if
about.
anybody?
I don't know if I wonder about it. Well, I don't really wonder about anybody because I've kind of, with social media, you've kind of kept in contact. Like, for example, actually, one guy I do kind of wonder about. He was like the neighborhood star. Like, my man was like handles like crazy. He could play ball. He was just handles like crazy. He was on track to be on like the Haitian team to try and go out for international play. He was decent. He was nice. I'm not saying he was no NBA player, but for us, he was nice.
Right.
And then he got he got hooked on weed and drugs and all that other stuff. And
Yeah.
but my man is still a block legend, like because like I said, we lived in a small little like lower middle class neighborhood, and my man was just to this day like even when my mom passed, he's the one that basically ushered me through the whole process. He came through, picked me up, took me to like
Wow.
yeah, true friend. Like he been an OG, like, but he's still down there. He lived like literally like three houses down from me, and he was still down there, still taking care of us, still looked out for me. Took me to see my dad who had Alzheimer's before he passed, like all that. So that's one dude, and then another dude from the neighborhood. Another, I know I'm talking about sports, but he was a guy like he grew up with our cousin Martine, who lived with us. So he was one of those older cats. So then when I
Mm,
started picking up basketball, so he and I became cool. So like, and he actually lives about a half hour or 45 minutes up north of me right now.
wow.
So like those two, I guess, legends. Like I still have a contact with them, but that's in terms of sports. Not many people I really sit there and wonder back
Mm,
home because I
okay.
basically seen them. So yeah,
You're in the 80s. Like you said, you're a young man, go back and forth, but your mom has that leash on you, that tight grip on you. Let me
couldn't wait
ask
for
you.
summers, boy. Every summer I was like, "Whew, I'm coming.
Yeah, you mentioned that you could wait for
I'm
summers.
going to the States. Well, yes,
I'm free
I'm
to
going to New
rise
York."
where it's safe. 1980s New York, where
No,
it's
it
safe.
wasn't. It wasn't that it was safe. It was like where I could actually have fun. I was
I
like,
know.
just go, and it didn't matter if I stayed in the house all summer. At least it was an op. It was my choice.
Yeah, yeah. It was your free will.
Yeah.
Why do you think? Why do you think your mom? Because you hear this sometimes, like single mothers.
Mm.
They're tough on their sons. They have a tight grip on their sons. They're nervous about their sons. What do you think it is about your mom that like, and not yo, bro, not just you, by the way. Let's take it on to
Oh,
me
I
for a
know. I
second.
know. Nah, to be
You
honest,
know, like, listen, my mom was a tyrant,
because
man. Like, now I will say this: I can already tell I had a leg up on you because she allowed me to go outside. Now, I'm not going down to the corner store unless she needs a calling card to call Haiti, but
either
you
way,
know, you
at
know what
least
I'm saying?
you get to go there.
Yeah, exactly. I get to make that trip. But in the yard, in the community yard where there's other kids playing, yeah, I got to play manhunt. I got to play tag. I got to play freeze tag.
Kids in the neighborhood were no good. What am I doing with? Nah, no, I don't know them. Only you, maybe this one. Yes, this one can, and he can come here. Like maybe that one. Okay, that one can come here. But no, you're not. Where you going?
Where'd
Did I
that
give you
come from?
friends?
Where's that come from? Did I give you
Honestly,
friends?
I thought she went through a lot growing up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like she went through a lot. Like, from her parents not her grandparents not allowing her parents to get together. To being, a stepdaughter and feeling like an outcast and feeling, unwanted to the where, you have to go and live with your grandmother, because, you were it was a lot. Like it was a lot. I'm not gonna tell
What's
her
a lot?
story, but it was a lot. So she held a lot of bitterness, like, and then on top of that, my dad, wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. Like he was doing his dirt. So
Right.
that was more bitterness because she had a life she envisioned, and she's it's the furthest from what she envisioned.
Hmm.
She
Hmm.
envisioned a certain life, but now she has to be with a dude that she's in love with. So now she has to envision another life. Then they get married. She gets pregnant. So that's in line with that other life that she started to envision. And then you
Right.
turn around and you do what you do.
Right.
That embittered her, and then on top of that, the fact that she didn't feel she got the necessary support she needed,
Hmm.
from family when that whole thing and in the aftermath and years later.
Hmm.
I don't know, like she just felt that, she was gonna be determined that I wasn't gonna be my dad. So if that meant, I don't want no outside influences, it's just me and you. And this is just conjecture. I don't This is just me I guess coming to terms with,
Right.
or understanding, trying to understand
Right.
who she was. I'm just by what I know she went through.
Right. Right. I get it.
Because sometimes it's just like things hit you a certain way, or you respond to certain things a certain way, and you may not know what you're passing down,
Right.
but it's still your journey that you're going through. But it just sucks that sometimes you may pass down something you don't intend to, but you just have
Yeah.
to go through. This again, like I said, it's your journey to go through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you definitely are able to have at this day and age, some empathetic perspective. But before I get into that, I can relate because, man, listen, like I said, I had more privileges than you. I can tell. But my mom was still a sheltering person. And I noticed later in life, as I got older, that I missed out on certain social cues to pick up on about just habits, movement, how I act with myself in public because some parts of me, I never had certain reps. You know what I'm saying? So, like, sometimes when you're sheltered, you just don't know how to do certain things until you're thrown into the wolves a little later than you want it to be. I don't know if you ever had. I don't know if you ever had that experience. Like, oh, that's why y'all do this. Okay, that's why y'all do that.
Nah, yes and no. Oddly enough, is that because I don't know if it's my personality or because of the way I grew up. Because it wasn't just sheltered; it was damn near like afraid. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just afraid to say the wrong thing. So I was always one to watch people, watch their moods, watch little micro ticks, just to see like if at like even if I'm telling a joke, even to this day, like I could be telling a joke and I see somebody like, and I'll be like, "That's a fake laugh." I'm like, "Well, nah, we got beef or something." Little things like that. So I've always been quiet, but yeah, I've had like I remember my first time buying weed. I was like, "Do I just get one weed or I buy two?" How does that go? Like that's why I always like I just for a while I was just smoking off other people. I was like, I'll just take some of yours, please. I put five on it, but I'm like, I don't know, but it was stuff like that. But it was like also like nah, but I mean, I learned throughout the years how to read people. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I
Right.
was always good at that. But I don't know. Like, I know what you're saying, but I don't know if I'm sure it has been. But I just can't. Maybe it might have been a situation where somebody might have been when I was younger. Somebody might have been playing me. I ain't see it.
Hmm.
But in terms of how to move, I don't think I've really. I just usually just watch how people move, and act according.
There's an old addendum that bench players make for great coaches because they sat more to learn the game more and read the
And
game
they
more.
watch, yep.
Yeah, they watch more. And you want an apple, Mama? I got you an apple. Hold on.
Yeah, she said apple. Hey,
Yeah, she
Chuck.
loves apples now. What's up, Charlie? Oh yeah, bench players. They have that opportunity to survey the land and learn the game better. I definitely feel like I can understand where you're coming from when you say how like you were able to be good and learn things just from observing or being just watching. I have that had that experience too, where I've been able to look at a pot now growing up and be like, that pot's hot versus a lot of people who I grew up with. They had the freedom to just touch the pot without even observing, you know what I'm saying? Whether they got burned or not, it is what it is. But they had that
They got
on
that
hands
life
experience,
experience, yeah.
that life experience. And I think that life experience what I'm talking about, it's a great teacher at times. Hopefully not to your detriment, you know what I'm saying?
That too.
Right. But it can be a great teacher for that reason, like I definitely that's why I asked that question. So we
Mm.
went there. But so moving on, like so let's say you're doing your thing, you're in school,
Mm.
you're playing sports, but you're being traveled by cabs and chauffeurs,
Well,
more or
that's when I
less.
was 13, yeah. Like
Okay.
up until then, up until that point, I was a kid. So it was just like, my mom took me wherever I had to go, soccer practice, whatever. And all I had was soccer until 13 then. And then I had tennis, but that was in the neighborhood. So she would just that one I could go to because it's around the corner. And she knew I had to come back. I had 10 minutes to get back. That was it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
But
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, man.
All right. Well, okay. So that's so the what how old are you at that time? Like you said you're 12, 13?
Well, tennis was up until 12, and then around 13, I took up karate. So that's when I was getting chaperoned around to events or everything like that. From 13 through about 16, no, not 16, maybe 14, 15. By the time I was 15, I was like, "Mom, I got a ride. I'm good. I don't need her to come." And then she would still be like literally give me the that death stare, and I was like, "I got a ride. I'm gonna take a ride." I'm like, then it would be like, "Mom, can I get a ride with my friend?" And she'd be like, "All right." "Mom, can I get a ride with my friend?" "All right." So then it was either my friend's dad will pick me up, or on Friday she'll come get me.
Hmm.
Yeah, after work.
How do you feel? How do you wonder or feel if you had given this any thought? How do you think her strict hold on you, or how do you think it affected you, whether it's socially, mentally, whatever? How do you think it made an influence on you or impacted you? You all right?
Yeah, it definitely had a negative mental impact.
Mm,
It definitely, in terms of self evaluation, or I guess I'm just gonna say, self doubt. Like it's always you're not good enough. It's always if you get 100, it's you get beat if you come back with a 95 next week. It was always that if it ain't perfect, it ain't good. So, and if one person complains, it ain't perfect.
right.
You know what I mean? So it was always that it's almost like you had to achieve to get any kind of like I used to sometimes I used to be like, where she hugging y'all? She all tended to you, she all tended to X. Oh, she love your sis. I was like, and I'm sitting here like, word, I'm right here. Or, hearing nothing but negative feedback in person, but positive feedback in the third person.
Right.
So like she'll be like, or if you get like a bad grade and you're being told you're worthless, but then if company comes over and says, "Hey, your son's pretty smart." "Yeah, I know, boy. I tell you, that's my boy." And I'm like, "I thought I was worthless yesterday." How am I
Right.
your boy?
Right.
So it was little things like that. So like, how they say growing up Haitian, you got to grow up with thick skin.
Yeah.
And for a large, large majority of my time, my life, I have because I everything was always, just water off a duck's back. But
Hmm.
it's just lately, it's just, I guess things are finally coming up, resurfacing, which is why I was able to I guess, empathize with, my mom's upbringing and how, what she had to go through. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I had to pay for a lot of it, but you know what? I guess that's what therapy's for, right?
Right, right. I hear that. I hear that. Oh, well, thank you first and foremost for sharing that.
No
I
doubt.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's real. It ain't my story to tell, but I can say that even though I had a tyrant of a mother, stronghold, who would use verbiage that was more to break you down than to build you up. Let me say that. And like you say, we're taught to like grow up with thick skin, especially for people from the island. I would say, yo, I would always ask myself, where's this coming from? This shit is deeper than me and deeper than this particular generation of family. Where's this coming from?
But let me tell you a story, fam. We first came to the States. Well, I'll tell you. I guess we can get to that part to how I came to the States for good.
Hmm.
Man, I had gotten like my first like set of report, like whatever half semester reports, midterm reports or whatever stuff like that. And I guess they got sent in the mail. I come home from school and it's like I'm not a mother anymore. I'm like, what? How come I didn't get your report card? I'm like, what are you talking about? This mail says here it's sent to Johnson. I'm like, that's who you put on the on like that's when I could actually respond.
Right.
I'm like that's who you put on the form as to where I'm living. And then so anyways, then she was looking at the report card. She's like, oh, you got a 90. What's that out of
Hmm.
200? I was like, wow. And that was like I think one of the few times I lost it.
Wow.
and and I probably think I lost it. Like we went at it 3 times my whole life. No, and even that wasn't even when I say that time. When I say lost it, it was literally me talking back. It was me being like, "I'm like, are you serious? I got a 90, but then you'd be mad if I don't show you my report card next time, right?" And that was my response. And she ain't talked to me for like 3 months. Because she basically said she's not a mother and that Jocelyn was the mother. And I think she went back to the Bronx to stay with her brother for a couple weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Haitian women are petty, yo. They are top
No,
two
because
times to
no,
be
because
petty.
the thing is though, she knew that A, she couldn't put hands on me, and B, her sister wouldn't let her put hands on me even if she tried. And if I was to ever like have that moment of fear and let her sister wouldn't let her. So
Man.
yeah.
Yo, when my mom's mad at me, she'll let that phone ring and ring and ring if I'm trying to call. Like it could be an emergency. She don't know it. She's like, whatever. And she just let it ring, ring. Yo, some of them are petty, bro. Especially when they're the ones, no
Mhm.
shots. They're the ones inflicting this on us.
And
It makes no sense. You wonder, like, yo, where's this coming from? How deep is this run?
and it's
It's
like, what are you mad at? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
what are
Like
you
shit.
mad at?
What did I do?
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, is this above me? Is this slavery? What's the influence for this? Spirit you have. So
Nah, like I said, like it's just like sometimes I feel like you're trying to hold on tight to the one thing you feel you can control in your life, but not realizing you're choking it.
not realizing you're choking it.
But I mean, it's just stuff that I've just had time and to literally. I'm sorry, I'm just up and down on the Knicks 2. They up 16 in the third.
Oh, thank God. Thank
Yeah,
God.
nah. So you just sit there and you think and reflect on things. Like I guess I say that a lot. Is that my worst is when I'm alone by myself, because I get a lot of thinking done.
All right,
And you think back on things, good, bad, and different. And the more you think about things, the more if you try to, the more you can understand them.
right,
You know, or even if it's a way to lie you tell yourself to make like even it's a way for you to rationalize it, to even have some kind of empathy for the other person. That not everybody deserves it, but if we're talking about a parent, sometimes look, you also if you put stuff into context, you got to understand where they're coming from.
right,
But
right.
yeah, you may have suffered, but they suffered too, and they
Mm-hmm.
probably had no control over it.
Mm-hmm. You try to rationalize their pain.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've had in my early to mid 20s, I started to say to myself, you know what? It's deeper than me. Like whatever's going on with this rage, it's deeper than me. I need to really fall back and
Mm,
try to bob and weave literally,
yeah.
but also have some compassion. Because trying to have compassion for someone who gives you a lot of pain is it takes a lot out of you.
But I guess I don't want to say I was conditioned to be compassionate. I was conditioned to shut up and do what I was told. You know what I mean? So it was more
Right.
like, so I never, I mean, if we're going to be fair, the only times I ever really sat there and really, I mean, there have been times, but like I could sit there and be like, okay, I looked at my mom with compassion, might have been when she had a cyst, she had to go to the hospital for, and I knew she was scared, but she was trying to basically, you know, be the strong one and think and I'm sitting there like, but that was one and another instance was when we were growing up, we were in Haiti after my grandmother died, like she would just out of nowhere would just sit there and just burst out in tears and just start, or whenever she has like those moments,
Right.
I'll feel it with her too, and I kind of feel her pain and see what she's kind of understand what she's going through.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's always tough to see our parents in pain, and it's like, damn, they bleed too, huh? And
Hmm.
it's a shock at first, and then you get over it, like, all right, maybe I should just step in and help them out, or be there for them if they need anything. So I can definitely think about those memories. What I would ask is, you got to see her vulnerable. Did she ever make it comfortable for you to be ever at all you be vulnerable to her? So she never got to see you vulnerable.
Unless I was sick or a child,
Okay,
or
so,
or at a funeral, or if she was crying.
right, right, right. Only those like quick moments, but like
Yeah,
other than that, no.
yeah. Like, quick story. And this is before, like, I was probably 16 or 17, and we had just gotten a new dog. What's his name? No, that was before. No, actually, no, that was before the new dog. My dog previous, my girl Fanny, my dog Fanny,
Mm-hmm.
and she had been sick. She was getting old or whatever, and something had happened. She had gotten out into the back to the street, and somebody hit her with a rock and kind of messed up her tailbone.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't gonna last long or whatever. And I come home from school. I remember it clear as day. I come home from school. My mom's waiting for me at the end of the corridor leading to the backyard with a smile on her face. And I'm like, okay, I ain't never seen that before. I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, hey, Fanny died. I was like, and then at that moment I froze. I was like,
Mm,
damn, my dog died. But I just froze like to take in the information. I was like,
mm.
and then
No,
as I'm processing it, she just starts screaming, hey, don't you start crying over it. And I'm like, I'm just processing whether, I'm
right.
thinking like, damn. But I wouldn't even, if I remember correctly, I don't think I was close to crying. I was just like, oh my dog. As I'm processing, she literally like, hey, don't you start crying in here. And I'm like,
She made it a point to instruct you not to cry. And I wonder, like, what is the goal there? Like, is it personal?
she don't want to raise. No, you just want to. The world is tough, and I mean, this is me
Like,
rationalizing it now. The world is tough, and she want to, and in the way people thought back then, a man is tough, a man don't cry, boys don't cry,
right.
man up, shit. I'm not raising no sissy. Those are the terms they used back then. I'm just speaking for your audience in case they think I'm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pervasive thing where even the women were complicit about it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It
It
was,
was boys don't cry, boys don't play with dolls. It's just nah. It was just that simple. Like she just, and I'm just looking at her like I'm like, who said I was gonna cry? I was just like, I'm just processing my dog's death.
right, right, natural.
Yeah, natural. And I just sat down like like one of those like in shock for a minute, and she just kept looking at me like she was waiting for me to cry or something. And I was just like, no, I'm good, man.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow. So that's like 16-ish years old.
yeah.
Talk about transitioning from Haiti to the States, and what was that experience like for you? How did it happen? What was going on at that time back home in Haiti that got it going? What was happening for you to go from Haiti, from Delmas to the States?
Actually, that was the easiest transition of my life because I was ready. I was ready to move to the States for a long time. They had tried many times to convince my mom, and she was like, nope, 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 nope. But I was ready. And so what happened was we had visas to come every year, so we had to travel at least once a year. And my mom had to travel since I was under her name. She had to travel at least every 3 months to maintain her visa. And then we got a green, and then we got a, and then by 2004, no, 1994, we got a green card. And when we got the green card, that one with that stipulation, you can't be outside the United States for more than 3 months because you're technically a resident. So, so the plan was we got the green card. We were gonna come to the States for the summer like we do every year. I was gonna come back, finish high school, go to whatever university I can in Haiti, but just keep traveling to the States every 3 months.
Right.
And we got to the States beginning of summer, and then all hell breaks loose in Haiti. The president, but then even when we traveled, the president had already been ousted. He had already been kicked out the country.
Right.
I think he was either in the States or Jamaica or somewhere in Europe.
This is what year we're talking?
Aristide, this is 90.
Like
Well, he got ousted in either 92 or 93,
90.
but I
Yeah.
left in 94.
Right.
So 94 comes, so yeah, and they're like around, I don't know when, around maybe August, they basically put out, we get the news that there's a flight embargo and another and all sorts of ship embargo for Haiti. So basically no flights in or out, and they didn't know for how long until they brought Aristide back.
Wow.
So just as a precaution, we went to sign up for, since I was technically a super senior, because in high school there's a 13th grade in Haiti.
Mm.
So I was pretty much good to go, but we tried to sign up for RCC. We tried to enroll at RCC. They're like, oh no, he's missing too many classes. He doesn't have enough core requirement. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, he's missing like a lot of like freshman music and this class and this class.
Oh,
I'm like, a bunch
nonsense.
of basic classes like from like that you guys took from freshman to senior year.
Right.
And they're like, it's either. So I was like, all right, fine. So we went back. We looked at a bunch of schools. So we just looked at North Rockland, and then we signed up for North Rockland, all thinking that I'm going back to Haiti. Zoe, Mama, Zoe, down, down, good girl.
Mm.
So when they saw my birth certificate, they go, no, I mean, we'll accept it. You're saying this is him. You got proof that it's him. However, we can't enroll him in school. We have to call him Joseph. So in 1994, September, I became, well, August, because then I just tried out for the football team and made it. And I
Right.
became Joe ever since.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Chance and sliding doors moment with
Facts.
Aristide and just changed your whole life. They left him alone and he wasn't ousted like that, or you would have been back and forth every 3 months hanging out, but still made a life down there, probably.
Sure, I probably might have been shot the way Haiti's looking right now.
All right,
Or
yeah,
then again, it might not look that way if they left him alone.
yeah. There you go. There you
Sliding
go.
doors.
Sliding doors. Yes, I agree.
Gee.
Wow. You know, I didn't even ask you. We jumped ahead to high school. I didn't even ask you. Go back to your adolescence ever. Your 12, 13, 14, 15. I know your mom had you a lot, but just in general, neighborhood and otherwise, where would you go on a Saturday night, in Haiti, in Delmas, to watch a picture, watch a movie, go get some food in this spot, this place at the market? Where were some prime locations, some landmarks and some benchmarks in your neighborhood where people would go to have fun on a
In my neighborhood, it was an old, like a plaza, like it was just like a park, like an open park in the middle of the neighborhood. And there was the ballpark, the sports park where it was soccer fields, basketball courts. That's basically all there was to do. If you want in my neighborhood, if you wanted to go out and do whatever, you had to go to another neighborhood. You had to go to another part of town.
mm,
Like, or if you wanted like some free entertainment, you would go across the street to your grandmother's neighborhood, and listen to like some of the compa bands. Like one compa band in particular, Bosa, they had a studio or a house next door where they would rehearse. So if you wanted free entertainment, you would just go right there, and your uncle played with them,
Florida.
and your dad.
And this is what neighborhood in particular?
Which one? Pueblo City, where your grandfather lived. So across the street and a couple houses to the left, that's where the group was. That's where they would rehearse and everything. And I think your dad played with them, your uncle played with them. Yeah. Bosa Combo.
Combo, yeah, yeah.
And they also played with I think Acolyte or something like that. Or I forgot or Taboo. I forgot which other groups they played with on your list.
Duets. I think duet. There's a few.
Dudes.
Duets, yeah, duets.
Mama down. Good
Yeah,
girl.
duets.
Dudes.
But yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, so yeah, it wasn't really like in terms of like entertainment. Like if you wanted to go see a movie, you had to go. I mean, it's not far. It's like a couple blocks up. It's this movie called Imperial that was like the shishi fufu. Like that's where all like the bougie kids went to the theater because that was near my school had primary and high school. So that was near the high school part of my school.
Mm,
So that was like in a nice neighborhood of Delma. Now it's not there anymore. But if you wanted to go downtown by the Capitol, it was actually the name of the movie theater, Capitol. It was by the White House.
mm,
That was another one too, but that one was more like for everybody else. I mean, everybody went to both, but Imperial was considered the bougie one.
the bougie one.
Yeah, and we would get like all these weird titles.
Yeah.
So like we would get French movies. So we would get like any American movies, but it would be French dub.
Oh, French dubbed.
Yeah,
That's weird. So if you're watching like 48 Hours or freaking, I'm gonna get you. No, I'm gonna do
I'm
sucker.
like, well, whatever. It would still be French dub.
Oh man, that takes the inflections out of it. That
Yeah,
takes.
and it's a different voice. So like, you'd see like, what's his name from I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Not Kevin Ivory Wayans, not Damon Wayans either. I think let's just say Damon Wayans. You see
Yeah.
somebody like with a high pitched voice like Damon Wayans, and then the dub is like a big deep Frenchman. You're like, really, bro?
Now that I'm glad you mentioned Frenchmen and French.
Mm.
So growing up in school, it was strictly Francais. It was strictly French, right?
Hmm.
So like whether you have to talk to the teacher about something or
French,
meet with the principal,
French.
everything. Go to the nurse. Everything's French.
I mean, if you spoke to, I mean, yes, French. Everything, anybody you spoke to was. I mean, I'm sure as time passed, like Creole became more and more acceptable. But like any person you spoke to, like only adults spoke to each other in Creole, and kids, like street kids, kids with lower education, quote unquote. Even though everybody spoke to like kids that had training, they didn't speak Creole in front of their parents.
Really, really. What
Yeah.
what a what a power dynamic that is going from
Bruh,
Creole to
I almost
French.
got whooped one time because I slipped up because I thought I don't know why I didn't think it was a Sunday. I don't know why I didn't think my mom was there. And Martine and a cousin on my father's side were in the backyard. So I run out the backyard and yell out in Creole, "Girls, Little House on the Prairie is on." And then my mom turned around and said, "What?" Yo, I froze so bad. Yo, even my
Wow,
cousins were like they all froze. And then come to find out in like 89, 90, they passed some kind of legislation to actually include Creole in the curriculum. So Haitians could learn to read and write Creole.
wow. That late 90-ish.
Like in late 80s, close to the 90s, yeah.
So would you say that to some households Creole was taboo or
Creole was low class.
low
It was
class?
low class. It was gutter. It was even though all adults like if you weren't trying to if you were familiar with them, if you weren't trying to impress anyone, you would speak to them in Creole. But it was just that a child must speak French. That's a proper child. Everything else is just you're a vagabond. You ain't got no home training.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like it was. And it was those who didn't speak French were from the country. They were low educated. They didn't really know much. And it didn't matter that those like that came from the quote unquote country from the sticks. They would come to some of our schools and outperform us. But the only little problem was that their French wasn't as perfect.
Right.
It had like a little bit of we call it suget, which is the translation is candy, but it's more like it doesn't translate in English, but it's more like you close your mouth when you should open it, and vice versa. It's a French thing. Like, it's literally a French thing. Like, French would say cœur, like to say heart. Or somebody who speaks Creole would be like, yeah.
Okay.
See, it makes it harsher, like it's just,
Right.
or if you're trying to sound smart and you say the wrong, you put the emphasis. It's just Haitian bullshit. It's just basically, I'm just delving deep into bullshit. I'm talking about like even in school, like if somebody dropped like a weird French accent, like the whole class would be like, woo, like embarrass the kid.
Right. No, that's crazy. I could see that. I could see because it shows you how, in a sad sense, that like no matter no matter where you're from in the world, even the most destitute, the most awesome, no matter where you're from in the world, you can still have a social hierarchy that the inhabitants create amongst themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And for what? For nothing. For status.
And well, that's exactly it because, we still had the Syrians and, some of the Caucasians still had power down there. You know, you got to find power where you can. I mean, that's why I kind of understand. No, let me not get into it. Let me leave it alone. But yeah, it's just a power. Haiti was more of a caste system than it was a caste or class system than it was a racial issue.
Right.
Because the term white in Haiti literally means stranger. It's a metaphor. It's a euphemism for stranger.
A white, like white means stranger.
Yeah, like a white person, like you stranger. It don't matter if you're white, black, purple, or gray. You're not Haitian, so you're white. You white man from town.
Yeah. Blanc.
Blanche.
Yeah. So, okay. So that was the local scene in Haiti you outlined for me. I can visualize it,
Yeah,
especially
and
especially the Capitol one by the theater. If you said it's called the Capitol,
yeah,
all of it. I could see it in my head, the images. But
and it was lovely, bro. It was like back then in the 80s, 90s. It was lovely. It was calm. It was like you could see why Haiti was a tourist destination. Streets were clean. You can go out. The only thing you had to know is watch your mouth. Don't say nothing slick about the government.
right, right, right,
I mean, I'm just saying from my perspective. I know people were oppressed. I know I knew later that people were oppressed as I got older, and I feel for them. I'm just saying my experience growing up it was just a normal childhood. It was okay. It's Sunday. We're going to go see family. We're driving around to see different cousins, different aunts. That's the routine or the whatever it is. You get in on Sunday, you go to church, or if you don't go to church, you go visit everybody, and then you come home, get ready to go to 6 o'clock mass for church with your mom. And that's it. Like, so to me, like Monday through Friday was school, Saturday is homework, or Saturday you just is soccer, and then Sunday is church and visit family. That was basically the routine. Or on a Saturday, maybe if you might go to the beach.
even with your mom's tight grip on you, did you ever have the opportunity to know anybody or befriend anybody growing up that wasn't as doing as well as you, or
Of
had the same
course.
what was that like, seeing other people like live maybe potentially worse lives than you?
And that was, I guess, when my smart mouth started getting activated. It was like from my house there's like you go down right next door, there's like this alleyway to go down. If you keep going, you're gonna end up by a ravine. And there was another house right there too, further down the block, that had an alleyway like that too. And in that alleyway, some people had like shacks. Like, you would think it's a house, but then there'd be like three houses inside. So like what's built like would be like the size of my house.
Hmm.
It would be three houses. Like, it would just be one big gate, and you go in and you just be like, what would have been my outdoor kitchen is somebody's house. What would have been
Hmm.
my house would have been two people's houses. So my one of my close friends, his father was good friends with my mom, and his mother. Wow, that's weird. His father's name is Joe Campbell.
Hmm.
What's my name? Joe. My dad's name is Joe. His wife's name was Solange. It's my
Wow.
mom's name. And my mom was friends with her. I guess that's why she was friends with her. But she had no issue with me being friends with that kid living in the shack. But the kid that lived, the Campbells were in the shack across from him, my mom
So
didn't want me being friends with him because, oh, mind you, we're not the Campbells were light skinned. So the other family. So they were not acceptable.
Damn. All right. You still there?
Mhm.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, so like yeah, but that my boy Ralph, my mom did. I don't know what it was if with his family outside of it wasn't really his skin color, but she did have a bit of colorism, but it was more of a I don't know what it was about them, but she didn't like that family. She didn't want me, but he actually ended up in my group of friends. So as I got older, I would come home from basketball practice. I would stop next door at some of my friends' house, and we just hang out for a bit, kick it for a bit. So she started, I guess, loosening the reins when I was about 17, but literally it's because she would either be out of town on a trip or she'd do something, so I'd just be, and I wasn't going too far. I was only hanging out because we didn't really go far. We just hung out in the neighborhood, so I just go two houses down.
Right.
Yeah, and some of these guys I mean, all these guys were still friends to this day. One of them's actually a pretty dope artist in Jersey.
Mm.
He does a lot of
Cat,
comics.
cat with dreads. He's nice.
Yeah, that's my boy. We grew up together. Like, he's like I think 3 or 4 years younger than me. Like, I was friends with his older brother and older sister. But yeah,
Mm.
but me and him became tight. Like that's my boy. Yeah, he's dope.
Talented.
Very. But
Wow.
mind you, I had to sneak to be friends with him.
Damn. Damn.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like
That's
I
crazy.
literally had to sneak around and be like, yeah, like hang out for a little bit, like after school, hang out. Hang out with them for a little bit. Oh, my mom's gone for the weekend. I'm hanging out with y'all for the week. I'm hanging out with y'all. I'm outside for the weekend. Let's kick it. Like that was how it was in my mid to late teens. Was just sneaking around just to hang out for a little bit. I had to pretend I'm going to play basketball, and I'd go to the ballpark and hop the back wall to go hang out with my friends
Wow.
because that
Wow.
was the only place I was allowed to go is go to the park and play ball. Yeah.
Wow. So from that, you transferred to the States. Like you said, originally in Haiti, you had 13 grades. So unfortunately, you had to catch up with some courses. So take me to now going from Haiti to the States as a high school student. What's that like?
Imagine going from an all boys school for 12, 13 years, and then for 1 year, you go to a co ed environment.
Wow. So it was just madness.
Oddly enough, it was pretty tame. However, it was fun being like having girls be like, "Who that? Who that? Who that?" I mean, I got myself in a little bit of trouble with a couple here and there. But it was nice. It was nice. It was a good time.
It's funny you say that because I got a friend of mine. Shout out to Yori. A friend of mine. He's born and raised in Cuba. He's probably either 75 or 76. He's 1975 or 76.
Oh my.
Um, he's from Cuba, he's from Havana, born and raised.
Mhm.
And he always tells me, he's like, Mike, he was like he was in dormitories for 8 years, 4 years for high school, and then 4 years for college. And he was like, Mike, the first 4 years of high school in that dormitory was hell because it was just so much fighting, so many in-house like just brawls and boys on top of boys. It was mayhem, constant. But then he says fewer men went to college. So when it was his turn, the next 4 years, he was like, it was heaven because we had to share a dormitory with a bunch of women. We were the only guys, his poor friend group, and he was like, they outnumbered us, and there was no fighting. This is all just having fun. So he went from one extreme to another. So I was thinking about that when you have like ideas of like a school.
Listen, it was fun. Listen, it was fun. Mind you, I don't know if you remember Eli. So it was like me, Eli, and Fit. It was like almost. Whew.
Just having fun,
Listen, bro,
getting used to the states.
man,
Yo,
listen.
well, you know what's crazy? So this is like mid 90s now, and
Mhm.
I'm definitely envious because once upon a time, not lately, well, lately I'm back in it, but once upon a time, from like childhood to like I guess late high school, I was a Red Storm fan. I was a St. John's fan. Like I followed the team. Like that was my thing. Of course, on top of being a big Knicks fan. But you got to go to SJU. You got to pledge. So what's it like, coming to Haiti, and coming from Haiti to the States to finish high school, and then choosing St. John's? Where did this come from? How did this come about?
Well, I didn't choose St. John.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't. I don't want to call it racism, but it was definitely a white woman underestimating me. And because when I first came, so she just assumed that I was an ESL kid. I didn't speak English. I didn't know anything. Like she just assumed all that.
Right.
So she had me in like these freshman math, like just BS classes. She was like, ESL. I'm like, ma'am, I don't need ESL. I speak English very clearly. She looked at me. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. All right. Okay, great. Like all this nonsense. So the school I wanted to go to was a school that I've dreamed that like that's my like how you said you were a St. John's fan.
Yeah.
I was a Florida State football fan. Listen, I just wanted to go to Florida State like you wouldn't believe. So I sent my application to Florida State, UConn, Temple, University of Texas. I didn't hear back from Texas. I got waitlisted at Temple. I got into UConn, and Florida State rejected my application because my guidance counselor didn't tell me that they wouldn't waive the $25 application fee.
Wow.
And then I was waitlisted for St. John's. Temple was too much money, and UConn was way too much money at the time because they were giving me no aid.
Wow.
So they were like, "Yo, you got to find you a school, in state." And then I was getting recruited by like these colleges, not big name, like little like Worcester College, Wagner,
Right.
to go play for them. They were non-scholarship, but like they would offer me partials here, partials there. But your auntie did not want me going to, like I guess she listened to her brothers and they didn't want me living in a dorm. So they're like, you gotta go to St. John's. So
Yeah.
I was waitlisted at St. John's, but my high school football coach knew the head coach at St. John's. So they offered not they, not it was they just offered me a spot on the school roster, not on the football team. Football, I was able to. No, they put me on the team, so they had to enroll me in school, but it was a non-scholarship, and I didn't get. I got aid, but not like great crazy aid. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
because my
Okay.
number one was Florida State, my number two was Temple, and Temple I was gonna go for biology because I had a crazy dream of one day being a paramedic.
God no. God no.
And yeah, and then all those other schools they just didn't apply. I'm like, it just felt weird. I'm like, I know I'm fresh in this country, but I'm like, you recruit me? I'm like, you ain't no big time college program. No, I'm like, I'd rather walk on I walk on at your school. I ain't never heard of y'all.
I wonder. I always wonder, like, for you in particular, because you grew up a Giants fan, a Knicks fan, back in Haiti. I'm wondering. It sounds very ignorant, and I'm sure people.
No, go ahead. No, you're asking.
How are
If
you
I think I know.
following? How are you following certain games and certain cultural movements, as far as in sports or otherwise, back
That's
home? How's
wonderful question.
what's the media down there for you? What are you getting? What are you receiving? What channel do you have to watch? What radio dial do you need to do? What was the logistics of it all?
Wonderful. At first, growing up in Haiti, we got the Chicago feed. Yeah,
How the fuck you get the Chicago feed? How did
I
that
don't
happen?
know. Well, we had two major stations in Haiti. There was Tele Haiti and Telenacional. Telenacional was the government run one. It was like the one everybody could watch. Tele Haiti had a couple channels, but it was more like a premium. Like you had to pay or whatever. If you had Tele Haiti, you thought you were bougie because you could watch channel 2, 3, 4, and 6.
Wow,
Channel 6 was ESPN.
really?
Channel 2 was a Canadian network. 4 was another American network, and that was the one that gave us like I said, it was the Chicago feed. Anything we would get like or channel 4 would be like all WGN stuff. We get Cubs games during the day, like all those things. I didn't really get Bears or Giants, like those would be more like in highlights, but in the Super Bowl, I don't know why. I was like, I think I like the Bears. And then the next year, I started getting into football and I became a Giants fan in '86. But I became a Giants fan the year after the Bears won the Super Bowl.
86, 85.
85 Bears. That next year, 85, 86, like that summer, I don't know why I started, like, before I went back home, I was watching football and I liked the Giants. No,
Parcells.
this
This
is
is
Parcells. This is
Parcells. Oh
Parcells.
yeah,
This is
Parcells.
LT, Carl Banks, Rodney
Trying to think of
Hampton.
it.
Joe, actually, just before Rodney Hampton, this is Joe Morris, Phil Simms,
Phil Simms.
Bavaro was the tight end at the time.
Right.
Jimbo Elliott, I think, was on the team. If I might be crossing times, but I think but I know, like,
It sounds right.
but it was and then when they went to the Super Bowl, I caught half of it on the radio
No
because
shit.
it was a blackout, so I had to listen to it on the radio. The Bills Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh.
It was a blackout, so I'm listening to again Sporting News Radio. That's how I got into sports radio because that's
Hmm.
I would listen to Sporting News Radio, which is a sports radio station out of Chicago.
Wow. That's. I mean, listen. I
Like I
grew
used
up.
to roll that AM dial until I found it.
It was crazy. Like I grew up. My aunt's boyfriend.
Update
Uncle.
leads
He
down to three
married.
with a minute left.
What happened?
Knicks lead down to three with a minute left. Minute four left.
Okay. Hopefully they listen. I've had way too many heartbreaks in the
Yeah,
last
just wanted to let
30
you know.
years of this shit. Yo, I was watching a Netflix special, a new O.J. Simpson documentary yet again, and they go to June 17th, 1994, and crazy day. He's the highway chase. The whole time I'm watching this documentary, mind you, it's a brutal murder that happened, two murders.
Mm,
I'm thinking to myself, that goddamn Knicks interruption. I remember where I was watching that game.
me too.
Like, yo, real.
I was in my that was before we moved to the States. I was in my room watching the fight, watching John Starks break three after three after three, and then that damn picture in picture popped up with the freaking Bronco chase. Charlie!
Charlie, yeah, Charlie said, "Yo, that was." I'm like, "Yo, what is this car? And why is it ruining the game?"
Yo, I was like, I was so mad at freaking Starks. I was just like I think I was looking at the Bronco, but I was more like just I can't believe we're gonna lose this game.
It's crazy, crazy. I think that may have been one that they won, but I know like the very next one they blew it.
No, that one,
Dark
no,
time.
no, no, that get no, that was that was wasn't that the game where Starks was breaking threes?
I thought that was in Houston. He was breaking threes. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I got it. But no, but this game they were at home. They were in the Garden. They were at home. They were at home. They
Okay,
were
so
home for that game.
I must have it
Yeah, but
confused
that whole week was a haze. That whole week was like,
because
all
I
right,
remember just I must have because I just know I was in Haiti. I remember that
yeah, yeah,
it was before I didn't realize it would be my last time in Haiti, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. Last hurrah.
my last hurrah.
So, so going to St. John's. I mean, you can't speak on too much, but I do want to know what was it like pledging. What are you exactly? 'Cause, by the way, Happy Founders Day was last month, right? Founders Day,
Yeah, the ninth, January 9th.
right? So talk about your fraternity, what you pledged to, and what was it like? What you can say.
It wasn't fun.
And
It wasn't
your
fun.
the fraternity,
Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, founded
Phi Beta Sigma.
1914. It wasn't fun. It was weird. It was just like before I went there, while I was in North Rockland, some friends that I knew that went to St. John's, well, some of Daphne's friends, and they were like, "Yo, oh, you coming to St. John? Oh yeah, you go." And I was just asking them about what life is like over there. How is it like? What's everything? How's this? How's that? How's the frats like? He goes, "Well, the Qs, they're not really no Qs out there. Like they kind of disbanded, but they would be the ones." I'm like, oh, okay, that's because that's all I knew anyway. Everybody, all they know is Qs.
Right.
And then I get on the campus, freshman year, I don't really know much. I'm just going around trying to play football, doing whatever. And I see oddly enough, I see this party on the yard. And, it's a frat party and these dudes or whatever. And this one guy comes out in a jumpsuit. Oh, Knicks won by 6.
Thank God.
And this
Thank
guy
God.
is wearing like this, like those jumpsuits, whatever. But it was a freaking opaque jumpsuit. And he got on Timbs and boxers and a hat backwards, and he's strolling in the middle of the party doing all this other thing. And I was just like, what the hell? And I was like, that kind of look cool. But then I never thought anything much of it. I just went about my business, and then it was more events going on and everything. And then I don't know. I wasn't looking to join anything, but it just turns out a lot of people that I was gravitating towards that I was cool with, there were Sigmas, and I didn't even know. And I think it was the fact that they weren't going around like brandishing letters 24/7. Like they were still doing good stuff, doing things, and they were actually running the yard and doing a lot of great things on campus. So I was like, hmm. And I approached one of the dudes that I had seen that actually drew my interest in the organization, and I started speaking to him. And oddly enough, like I said, one of my boys that I was working with on campus, he was like, "Why didn't you come to me?" I'm like, "Nah, I didn't know." He goes, "Come on, I'm like, "Yeah, I know," because he was a Sigma too. But I was like, I just didn't want. I wanted to be taken serious. I didn't want to come to you. I had to go to somebody, that so they know that I was serious. He's like, I bet." And then I went through 13 weeks of gathering information,
Hmm.
of learning, and of learning about, my friends and my organization.
Right.
And then I became a Sigma, and hopefully, I represented it in a positive light.
Mm. So you wear it proud and you're serious about it.
I hope so. And T. John's actually my frat brother.
I didn't know that. Shout out to T John.
Yeah, he pledged in UMass.
I did not know that.
Hmm.
By the way, he's another one. When I reference me being in the middle pack as far as generation, watching older guys. T John for a while, he had that Dwayne Wayne look. He had that with the glasses and and I was just like, I gotta recognize that everybody has their own style. You know what I'm
I
saying?
was gonna say because I know you were not trying to cop that Bronx style.
No, not at all. Not at
I know you
all.
live there
Not
now, but
yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. But nah, just it brings me back
with the
when you say
beef and
T John's
broccolis,
name.
24 with the beef and broccolis and the Dolomite.
Oh my God,
Yo,
that's some
T.
Bronx
John
shit
used
for
to
real.
rock the hell out some
Oh
Dolomites,
my
boy.
God. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Shout out to T John. Okay, so you pledged, you're in a fraternity, you're in college. How was it adjusting to university, to college here? What was it like for you? What was the college experience like? Was it the typical black? I mean, not well, it's not a HBCU, it's SJU, but still, was it a typical experience? What was it like for you?
It became typical my sophomore year because my freshman year I was living in Brooklyn in a one-bedroom apartment with my cousin, her husband, her son, her toddler daughter, my mother in the living room, and me. And she held the resentment that I moved out of that. Listen to how many people I told you in a one-bedroom apartment. 6 people in one-bedroom apartment.
Jesus.
And she still held resentment. She thought my cousin did something to me to make me want to move out.
Oh
Even though
my
I
God.
told her, Ma, I have a job on campus. It takes me an hour and a half. I have to leave here at 6 to make an 8 o'clock class.
Right.
I got an apartment closer to campus. I got, there's no space here. I got my own space. It's time. I think it was like during our last blow up, like the third blow up,
Right.
that she brought it back up, which was like 20 years later. She was like, to
Wow.
this day, and she goes, and don't think, I know you never told me, and one day you're going to tell me what Martine did to you to make you move out of the apartment.
My
And I was like,
God.
are you serious? Yeah, that one was bad because she threatened to run into the middle of the street if I didn't shut up.
Oh my God. Dramatic. Dramatic.
But yeah, yeah, so I moved out and I went in my freshman year. So after that, it became more of a typical college experience. You know, going out, every Friday, hitting the bar, you know, coming from football practice, or if you've done like after you've gone through training camp after 2 days, you go back, you come back on campus after being in Farmingdale for like 2 weeks. You come back on campus, first place you go is on Friday is you go hit the bar. You can bar hop every Friday, bring somebody home, or lather, rinse, repeat.
I hear that, man. I hear that typical college. We outside for the weekend life.
We outside every day. Like it was just fun. It was just like, it was just typical college life, except that, and that was pre-dorms at St. John's. It was a commuter school, and people were still hanging out. Like it was like, it was kind of kind of segregated, but not necessarily racially. It's like a typical college. There was the frat boys over there. There was the black hip hop crew. There was the athletes. There was this particular Caribbean sector. There goes this particular Caribbean. There goes the black organization. Not to be confused with the black kids over there. There's the hip hop crew that's always in a cipher. It's like it's different crews. And the athletes wasn't just there's the athletes and then there's the basketball players.
Mm,
There's Felipe, there's Zendon, there's Tariq, there's RJ Barrett's dad.
right,
There's those guys. That was my freshman year. It was different, and it where you hung out kind of told on who you were. Like if you're a black dude, you said I hung out in Marillac, you're primarily like not the hood dudes, but like the street dudes, like the ciphers, like whatever this and that, like the music cats, like the hip hop cats.
right,
You're on that side. If you hung out in the UC, you're probably either a white frat or just a regular black. Now playing cards, playing spades, playing dominoes.
right.
So there's a good chance there's a lot of Caribbeans in there. Like, it all depends on like where you hung out, if you were in student government. Like it was segregated, but it was college segregated,
Right.
but I had memories. I had
Wow.
memories. It was fun.
Now, as somebody in their mid 20s, probably in mid to late 90s, what are some like popular after hour spots or like listen, I'm 10 years younger than you. So I was too young for Nels,
Oh,
for
that's what I was gonna
Palladium.
say. That's what I was gonna say. That was my
Yeah, I was
favorite.
too young for that Nels, Palladium, Limelight experience. Like, where were you? Nah, I was too young. I was too young, so I
I
just
went,
missed it.
yeah, I went to the Palladium
I'm more speed
for high
era. That's my
school.
era.
Yeah, I went to Palladium for my prom. Like after prom, we all went to Palladium to party. We came back from Jersey and went to the Palladium. But after high school, from like me and Eli used to hit Nels. Like I've been there. I think I went there about 4 or 5 times. Nels was I met. Well, I can't say I met. I bumped into Lisa Leslie there.
No
Like I
kidding.
I was like, oh, Lisa Leslie. She said, like, turned her head like little man, get your ass away from me. I was just like, I'm just saying, I ain't trying to climb that tree. No, thank you. I
That's hilarious.
My status is nowhere near yours, ma'am. I was just paying homage. But yeah, Nels was the spot. I went to the tunnel, I think twice.
What was that like?
I was nervous, but it was cool. It was like I was just nervous going in, but once I was there, I was fine. I went to the Limelight after, like, way after the fact, like, and I didn't know. And funny story about at the time, I don't even think it was Limelight anymore. It was something else or something. But it was me, my girl at the time, Zendon, and his girl at the time, who's now his wife. We're hanging out. I think it was his girl's birthday, and they want to go to a club. We're like, all right, we're gonna go to a club. So we're in line at the club, and it used to be an old church or whatever. So we're walking, we're just in line, la 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 la, walking, 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 and we're talking. There's four of us. We're talking amongst each other, and then after a while, we notice it's like the only two girls are the ones with us, you know. And we're still chit chatting, blah 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 blah. Then we get to the front of the line. The guy looks at like this 6'10" dude and my 5'9" ass, and he goes, "It's gay night, right?" We're all like,
What?
and then the girls are like, "No, but come on, I want to see what it's like." Eh.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't our event. It was so we're like, all right, we go inside. We do one lap around and walk right back out. Like, and I mean, I was just like, yeah, it's not for me. And then we just like, yeah, it's not for me. But yeah, Limelight. Where else did I go? Palladium, Nels, of course, Bentley's. You don't know
Mm.
about Bentley's.
Nah, where was Bentley's at?
No, oh, that was somewhere in the city, near Midtown. But that was like the dopest Caribbean spot, man. Like, listen,
No kidding.
enough healing to about to go down over there.
No kidding. Bentley's, Midtown.
Bentley's Midtown, I think. Bentley's was the spot. Of course, I can't say it now, but everybody went to Justin's.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where else I went. I went and then I went to a couple spots on Long Island, like college spots.
Mm. Shout out everybody in Stony Brook.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where else I went besides like all the big like Speed. Of course, I went to Speed. There was
Yeah.
one club. It had like a whole bunch of freaking drapery in it.
And that's not Cheetah. That's
I went to Cheetah, which became, I think, Taj.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
now Taj is shut down.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Taj. That was a great place.
I don't know. I can't even think of all of them, but I'm sure you went to more than me. Shout out to your generation. I'm envious of that.
Nah, it was
Very
me and my boy. Like, actually, what I was more into, like, Ramsey racing parties mid college days. It was
no
this
kidding.
crew. Actually, I don't know if you ever heard of the brand, Brooklyn Circus.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Sounds familiar.
it's this Haitian guy. He started this brand. It's based out in Brooklyn called the Brooklyn Circus. But at first he had like this I guess this crew. I think it might have been a clothing line, but they were also party promoters, and they were called Ramsey Racing. It might have been a racing club. I'm not sure.
Mm,
And they would promote different parties throughout the city. And that
mm.
was like all the rage in the early thousands, like late '90s, early 2000s. Like that was the spot. You had to go to a Ramsey Racing party. For Christmas, it would have to be like a black or red party. But every summer, they would always throw one party that was always packed. It was the white T-shirt and blue jean party at Battery Park Cafe.
Interesting.
Yo,
Interesting.
that was like, I mean, line out all the way out to the ferry.
For real?
I'm just dead serious. From the ferry all the way out to the restaurant in Battery Park. People trying to get into the Ramsey Racing white T-shirt and blue jeans part.
This is pre 9/11,
Pre 9/11.
or maybe like
Yeah, pre 9/11.
you're saying Battery Park. I'm thinking about the towers.
Yeah, it might have been post. I don't know, but it was at Battery Park. But they had their parties all over the city, and it was different things, and it was like not invite only, but like you had to know, like whenever they're throwing it, and you had to get there early.
Early. Wow.
So you were, and every party had like
How
had
would you
a.
know back then? How would you know?
My line brother, my frat brother, he was friends with one of the promoters, and that's how he and I became friends. The guy, the owner of Brooklyn Circus. Well, not friends, but me and him became acquainted. But him and my boy are friends.
So it's just through word of mouth, through connections.
Yeah, and then it turns out everybody that I knew was actually knew them, and they were like helping them out with their business. Like people that I knew, I'm thinking I'm impressing. I'm like, yo, you going to? I'm gonna take you to Ramsey Ray. She goes, I know Ouija. Yeah, I was like, damn it. Yeah, yeah. It was those times, early 2000s were good. My college life was fun.
Okay.
A lot of road trips.
A lot of road trips. Where'd you go? Where would you take off to? Where would y'all go?
My first road trip, I'll let you guess where it was.
I'm gonna go south. I'm gonna go like not Alabama. That's too far. I'm gonna go no, I'm gonna go Alabama. Where'd you guys go? You there?
Yeah,
And I said I'm guessing South like Alabama, like the country.
no. Where am I right now?
Oh, shit, Georgia.
What happened in Georgia?
Freaknik. God damn it. How did I not even think about that? That's right. You're prime Freaknik.
Nah, I was at the last one. I was in '98. I had just.
It ended that soon in '98?
Yeah, I think because it was going on. It started in like early '90s
Yeah, early
or early
90s.
'80s or whatever, or mid to late '80s, and then it ended around '98. I went to at least the last good one was '90.
What was that like? That you can share, that you're allowed to share.
Yeah, please. I, s- I got pictures around the house somewhere. Oh man, I would have shown it to you when you came down. Next time you come down, I show them to you. Um, it was it was crazy. But Black Beach Weekend was crazier in Daytona. Black College Reunion was crazier in
First,
Daytona.
no kidding.
Like Freaknik, like I said, it was '98. It was towards the end, so there was more like police crackdown, whatever this and that.
Right.
But they weren't kidding. Like in the documentary, they did fly down professional
Wow.
because like you'd walk by a car and girls will sit there and literally start stripping in the car as they to get to basically entice a crowd.
Wow.
But for their safety, smartly, I would say kudos to them. They would do it with their car locked, but they would just literally stay there and just get either strip or get naked. And some of them like stayed outside because there would literally be a mob of dudes running to grope and touch and blah blah blah. And I was like, so some
Mm,
stayed, but it was not all of them stayed in their cars, but like a couple. Like if they were like on a busy street, like they would just literally like if people are walking just to get attention, they would just like start stripping inside their cars. Roll down the window when people come, they roll the window back up.
wow.
You know, and
I mean, 10 years ago this month, I went to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. You know,
Never been. Never been.
oh well. I mean, let me tell you something. I went 2015 February. It was dope. It was cool. It was a little chilly, it's February stuff, but good food, good food.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say is, you know, listen, the culture there was cops were handing you drinks. you know, the cops were like giving you like, hey, what's going on? So the culture was very free. Once you're outside in the street on Bourbon
Mm-hmm.
Street, walking around, and women are flashing you or stripping. But I don't feel it's as much as the lore or urban legend or urban lore of Freaknik. So was Freaknik really that worse, or was it as like New Orleans, like just flashing, showing some
Nah,
skin?
dudes were wild. Dudes were wild. I'm not gonna
Damn,
lie. Dudes were wild. Like, see, from what I could tell from Mardi Gras in New Orleans, girls will flash and dudes will throw beads, or girls are up on the balcony flashing or whatever. Now, put that same scenario in Freaknik, and you'll see dudes trying to climb those stanchions, trying to get to the balcony
Jesus,
to get to the girl that's flashing the boot,
Jesus,
so they
got
can touch.
aggressive.
Yeah, so they could touch, hump, do whatever, like stuff like that. Like I even saw one. Me and one of my frat brothers were walking down Peachtree, and we saw a girl in a seat in a fishnet dress, buck naked, handcuffed to the back of a truck, standing next to a cop.
Jesus,
And then she's like, "My brother told me that's how they dress down here." The guy's like, "The brother don't love you," and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, I was
Oh
like,
my God, shit, God damn, yo, what a time, what a time, what
yeah."
a time.
But Black College Reunion in Daytona
It was even crazier.
was crazier. Like, yeah, people. I mean, or they try to take it up a notch from because it's like, okay, we miss Freaknik, let's take Freaknik to Daytona.
Let's outdo it.
Man, listen, you had, dudes grabbing chicks. So, I mean, same thing as they did in Atlanta, grabbing chicks off the street to put them on top of cars, start, dancing, and girls stripping on top of cars in the middle of the street, on the beach,
Wow,
anywhere, in the courtyard of a hotel.
wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. What a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, what a time.
What a time.
You were in your 20s. No, not yet. You were close to your 20s. You weren't there yet.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I'm 10 years after you.
Yeah,
So,
I just started to do the math. Yeah, nah, you weren't.
like, I caught the tail ends of everything. And then my era is really the sit at home and really learn the internet era. So, I'm, 1995, 96, 97. I'm in AOL chat rooms saying ASL, even though I'm like 10 years old myself.
Oh, I remember ASL. I remember, yeah, 97
You
on
know what I'm
that.
saying?
And that was crazy. I did that, but nah, it was the 90s were crazy. Like I remember like every Tuesday running down to the Wiz to cop that new CD because the Wiz had the CDs for $10.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere else had them for like 15.99.
Oh, yeah.
And then I ended up finding a spot near the garden called Rock and Soul, where you can get the album on the Friday before the Tuesday release. So I got the blueprint before.
It's funny you say that. In Main Street in Valley, there was a spot that would get albums early. So
Mhm.
I got it the Monday night, 9, 10, 11. I got
Mhm.
it that night. I walked home. I played it all night long. Like, this is pretty good. This is
Mhm.
pretty good.
Mhm.
And then next morning, all hell broke loose. But yeah, go ahead. You were saying.
Nah, I mean that was the thing back then, man. Like copping CDs, like like I remember one time I was hanging out in Rockland, and you know what? There goes maybe that was an example of not knowing how to move, because of how
Oh,
you were sheltered.
right,
Because me and Stan were hanging out with some of his friends and everything, and they were like, "Yeah, blah blah blah. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna play some tunes. We're gonna do whatever." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll bring a couple."
right.
I had brought like the new Meth and Red, all these albums or whatever. I think I had the Raekwon album or something. I forgot which. I don't know if it was both, but I know I had the Raekwon album.
Right.
They freaking like these dudes took like I think I stepped out. It was near the car, and I went somewhere. I came back, and all my CDs were gone. I'm like, yo, what am I saying? No, I didn't take it. And I just chalked it up to the game. But then I was like, you sucker, you got. I was like, all right. I was like, all right. I let my guard down. I'm like, all right, I got.
Man, what a time! What a time! All right, so you're going through the motions of college, and now you're a young adult. Tell me what was it like for you navigating the streets here in New York, in Rockland, New York, in the city, as a young man, dating, being a bachelor, trying to find a career, trying to get a job, and figure shit out. What was going through your head? Like, and you're still not even like fully been ingrained here, you know?
Yeah, it was different. I didn't have the typical single life. My dumb ass got locked up from like after Freaknik.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Damn.
Come back from Freaknik. That summer, I go hang out at my line brothers' cookout in Brooklyn and Coney Island. We in the backyard having a good time, and I see this chick that I think is Dominican. I approach her. I start talking to her, but my homegirl, I told my, like I see my homegirl. I'm like, yo, hook it up. She's like, talk to her. She right there. So we talking. I'm thinking I'm just gonna get a little smashington,
Right.
and everything is cool. And then she's about to leave with my homegirl. I'll tell you in a minute who my homegirl is. She about to leave with my homegirl. And I'm like, yo, here's my number, blah, blah, blah. She give me her number. And bro, she was like, you gonna call me, right? You gonna call me, right? No, seriously, you gonna call me, right? I just gave you my number. I was like, oh, that should have been like,
A
just
red
walk away.
flag. Fucking
You know
red
who that?
flag.
And then I ended up being with this chick for like 6 years. You know
Right.
who that is? Bro.
Right. Right.
And I ended up stuck with that for 6 years. And then towards the end, then I started, going around doing whatever. Then it was done. It was just I don't know. It was just I can't say I was dating. It was just a lot of random hookups.
Right.
It was just or hookups that situationships. I guess is what they call them nowadays.
How you learn? How are you learning how to be a social being with the little maybe tutelage you got early on? From way back when. How are you able to navigate the social spaces and make connections, hang out, forge friendships, forge situationships, navigate all that stuff? How are you able to do that with the little tutelage you had? What was it? What did you have exactly to have the fortitude to go to be outside, basically?
And this is honest, regardless of whether or not it comes out as falsely, false modesty or cocky or whatever. I guess I just have one of those personalities or whatever. I guess people just gravitate, or people just, I guess, either I'm harmless enough or people think I'm cool enough. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I've ever been ascribed to any particular group. You go to a high school, you're not gonna be like, oh, there's your jocks over there. Like you'd see me knowing somebody in every group.
Right.
So it wasn't like, I don't know. I really don't know. I just
You're
people.
adaptable, maybe.
I'm amenable, adaptable. I'm sorry, amiable, not amenable. I'm amiable, adaptable, maybe easygoing, maybe I don't know, but for some reason, I tend to connect with people.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say this out of trying to be out of bragging or anything, because when I go out, like I'm okay just me being dolo. Like if we're going, to a function, if I'm going to a party, I could be dolo by myself, dancing by my like had
Right.
myself a great old time. I can't really like how do I navigate? I just did the best I could, to be honest with you. I can't really say that I had any guideposts or any guidebooks. So I just did whatever I could that didn't get me arrested. Like
I hear that.
when I first moved to the States, I was 18 going on 19.
Right.
I didn't want any girl that wasn't a senior talking to me. I'm like, I ain't going to jail. I'm like, I don't know what the rules are. What's success? No, no. That was my whole thing is don't get locked up. Just do your best to not be a dick.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I've learned things along the way, like, but at the same time, it's also hard hearing that you can't do something in the back of your mind
Mm,
and trying to get something done. You know what I mean? Like trying to accomplish certain things, but then hearing in your back in your mind that you're not good enough, or why would you even try to do that? Really, you think they're gonna give you that job? Like hearing that voice that you've been hearing from childhood. So I guess I don't know. I guess I got my social. If you want to ascribe it to genes, I guess I got it from my dad.
mm, mm. Yeah.
The social skills thing, if you want to attribute that to nature or whatever,
Right.
maybe. Because that dude with that KRS one nose was pretty charismatic. So he backed my mom. So I don't know. I
So
don't know.
he has something.
You know? But yeah, it's just honestly, I had like you said, I had no guideposts, no whatever. I just try to remember some of the things that I guess Poppy John and Paul and Lionel may have told me growing up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I just trial and error, man. Did what I could to keep my apartment, and that was it. As long as I had my apartment, I was good. So yeah, I went out, I did whatever, but I set rules for myself. I'm like, don't ever get drunk where you work. If I was going out to a work party, the minute my lip went numb, I knew I was like a drink away from getting buzzed, and I'd stop.
Right.
Like I mean, I socialized. Like I'd go to in the early 2000s, a lot of after work.
Yeah.
I hit, and plus I had frat brothers, so I'd either go alone or I'd be like, "Yo, you hitting the after work spot? All right, cool." And plus, that's the other thing too, in terms of the, I guess, quote unquote dating scene, is that I guess coming out of a fraternity, you had, like some friends here and there already this and that, but outside of the fraternity, I had other circles of friends that I had too. But it was pretty easy if you're going out, you could be like, "Yo, where y'all rolling here?" Because it was like, "Yo, let's roll." You didn't always have to go alone. So while you're there, let's roll. There'd be other people with. That's how the scene was in the early 2000s.
Right.
This group here, that group there, and next thing you know, these two groups are sitting at a table sharing drinks, and next thing you know, one of them finds someone else.
Right. Right. Right.
Or one of them finds, I mean, someone within that group. So it's just, I don't know, I don't know. It's just being out. Every event. If it's a picnic, if it's a this, if it's a that, I'm out.
You were out. You rarely said no. You rarely said you wouldn't come out. You just were outside.
Yeah, because like I had a lot to make up for it because
Oh, yeah.
my no, it wasn't, and I'm because of that relationship. It was a situation where every time I would go out, it was like, well, why can't I come too? I mean, I'm one of the guys. The guys like me, and I'm like, just no, no, just no. Like so it got to where I was like, look, I'm just not going out. Because I don't want to have to keep telling you no all the time. Because it's not going to be another argument, and you're going to ruin my time trying to go out. So let me just stay my black butt home. And then after that one was done, so I was just out. But it wasn't like out looking for anything. I was just out enjoying. If it came, it came. If it didn't, it didn't.
Right.
And
Get
that's it.
some air. Get some air for
That's all
sure.
it was. Just get it here. I wasn't really like it wasn't like dudes here tomorrow. I was on the prowl. I was just out trying to have me a good time.
Right.
If that included company at the end of the night, even better.
Really. And I guess right. I'm, I remember in my early 20s, trying to be outside looking for company, and usually, more often than not, the fish I caught, it wasn't really worth catching that kind of fish. I was like, oh man, I wasted my time on anything. Very few. I try to tell y'all all like young people now who are like right now I have a dude I work with. He's 24 years old. 24 years old. I'm like, dude, you know how young you are? And I try to like give him some game, and
Mm.
one day I try to tell him like, yo, man, like, you know, make sure you explore, make sure you learn certain reps about people, make sure you know who you're dating, and just try to give him game that we didn't get. You know what I'm saying? That I didn't get for sure. Like I have to just
I got that game. I got that from my uncle.
oh
Like my Papi John always said one thing. And he always said, make sure that before you get married, you've done everything you wanted to do. And he said that, and he was like, I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I mean, travel, business ventures,
right,
anything any goal you set out for yourself, make sure you do it before you get married. Because, and then he basically said, because once you get married, it's no longer about yourself.
right,
It's no longer about you. Matter of fact, you might cease to exist before. So before you get married, make sure you like any place you want to go, because there's a good chance she might not want to go.
right.
You know, so make sure you've done everything you wanted to do
You checked all boxes.
before you get married. And I said,
There's definitely some truth in that. There's
that's
definitely.
I get it.
I get it. I
I was
get
like,
it.
I mean, later on, I was like, I get. It. I mean,
Yeah, I get it.
I get. It.
I get it. I get it. I definitely get it. But we as humans, we want that companionship. We want that. We think we do. We want that companionship. We want that partnership. So
Mm.
we all end up just getting married. You were there at my wedding day. Shout out to you. You're. By the way, sidebar, y'all. My cousin is a phenomenal photographer. Phenomenal. In fact, once we do edits and make a transcript, I'll put his link on there so you can check out his work. You were there for my wedding, took great pictures on that day,
Yo, do
and
you have those by the way?
I should,
If
I
whatever you
should,
have, if you because I lost everything prior to 2021
damn, what happened?
in the move.
Oh
Either the
man,
movers or a neighbor or the guy that came to take our picture for the for the realtor. I don't want to say him, but either the movers or one of our neighbors might have snuck it. I don't know how, but it was my backup camera bag with all like it had my remote so I could attach it to my camera so I could do the off camera flash. I got my memory card, my external drive that had all of my old work, and I think it included your wedding.
damn.
All that gone.
I may have it. As a matter of fact, lately my iPad's been acting stupid. Where like sometimes I go to the mail app
Mm.
and it starts from like 2010 emails, like 2011, 2010.
Eh,
And I've seen some like, oh, I gotta save that email, and it's like some photo you took or something in general from that era, and this is like 15 years ago. So
Yeah, and I don't have what's her name's thing either. Lauren's baby shower.
I gotta look at that.
But I got Charlie's though at least.
I gotta look at that. Maybe in a random Dropbox.
Yeah, cause what I do is after a while I usually clear out my Dropbox.
Yeah, yeah. And recently I did a cleanup too of Dropbox, but I think I may have more stuff than I realized. So I'll check. But you
Cause I gotta
know,
find a place to put like my old work, cause they're already edited, so it's not nothing I can go back and work back on. I just gotta
right, right.
put it and save it so I can reference it.
Well, I
Right.
remember I brought up your skills with photography, and I brought that up because among many occasions I've got to witness you work. You did me a great solid, and you took pictures of my wedding day, and I remember. I feel comfortable saying this. I remember when other people in my life finally got it for good that I was hanging up my jersey in the rafters. Like old flames,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Once it's like, no, I'm really retiring. Like, what do you mean? I'm really out the game. Like
I'm out the game. Just look,
I'm out the
see,
game. Like
right
I'm
up there.
putting up my jersey up. It's gonna hang high. You know what I'm saying? But I'm out the game, and there was some resistance. There was some nastiness. There was some challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, and there was some like ownership like people felt they had. I'm just like, yo, man, what do you want? Like, I don't know. Like,
Damn.
So I remember feeling that and that time of that wedding, and
Mhm.
those pictures. It reminds me of that time where like people just didn't get it
Didn't
at
get
that
it.
moment, and then finally with the pictures posted, it was like really okay. Well, now it's enemy for life. I'm like, okay,
You're dead to me.
yeah, you're dead to me.
Yeah, and I did what's his name's engagement Stanley.
Right,
I got to sneak in the bushes to take the picture. Yeah, I did, and I did Kendra's maternity shoot.
right. You did. Shout out to you, man.
Yeah, and what's her name? Sweet 16, Nisa.
Lisa.
Okay, I did enough of
That's
that.
my.
The family got enough from me. We good.
And now you just recently worked with our cousin Andy with Arrested Development. What was that like?
Yeah, bro, that was dope. And it was like that was my second video I shot. I did a BTS for. The first one was more of a standard hip hop video.
It was like 2 Chain or something like that.
Nah, it was Halo, but he's an artist under Ludacris DJ's label, DJ
Okay,
Infamous label.
okay.
So Infamous was in the video, and this producer that I had never heard of before. Then I found out he's pretty famous, Mr. Hank. Yeah, so he wanted. I took a couple pictures of him, and then I sent it to him, and he posted it
Oh, nice,
and collab with me on his birthday. And he
nice.
tagged me and everything, and like I said, he collabed because he did the with whatever. But
Right.
that one was more like okay, it was almost like typical video. You're in a freaking mansion in Buckhead. Oh, it's a bunch of video chicks and blah 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 blah. I mean, it was a cool experience. It was my first time doing that, and it was dope because I was like, I got to see how the film crew worked, you know?
Right.
And I got to see even how like they interacted with like the models or anything. Like it's literally like a cattle call, bro. It's like, all right, we okay, we chose these two. Yeah, the rest can go. And I was like, damn, that's like that's cold. But this one though, it was more like, bro, we went into the place in this building, and it looked like an old school office building or an old school doctor's office you'll find in Rockland or Long Island or something like in Spring Valley or West Harris. And you walk in and everything, and it's like an office, but the office is set up. It's a set. So it's the space of an office, and they decorated each wall. So one section is like a living room, and they decorated like three walls in that. Across from it is like a wood panel. That's another scene. Then next to that one is like nothing but vinyl cover, and then across from it is like another retro, like whatever seat area. So like you could shoot four different scenes in one.
Wow.
And in the video, he shot all the four scenes. He shot four different scenes in that one room.
Jesus.
And then next door there was another room where there was like, and I don't know, it was just like we were in cramped space, and I'm just sitting there shooting, and I'm watching a dude that I remember I used to watch on TV 30 years ago, and he's sitting there mad humble, mad cool, mad peace, and then like you didn't know who these people were. Come to find out later that they were actually members of the band.
Wow.
Like this lady, she came in and she was talking to him. And she had like the lady with the red hair. I don't know if you saw my Instagram post. She was whatever. Come to find out, she's a member of the band. She's a lyricist for them. Like she's a
Oh
new member.
shit.
She's been there for like maybe 5 or 6 years.
Oh
Then
shit.
this other lady, she was there too, but she's I think a songwriter for them or something. So
Mm,
she's in the video. And this other girl, I thought she worked with Andy because I think her sister worked with Andy.
mm.
But then I found out today that she been with the group since 19. I was like, really? I'm like, and I would have never thought she was that old. She was close to my age. But I was like, wow. But then, and then you're learning from, you're watching how they, it was just peace. It was like positivity.
Mm.
People just, but it wasn't no hippy dippy, chewing. What do you used to chew back in those fluoride sticks? It wasn't none of it's none of that. It was just like people just coming together to put a
Mm.
video together. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like homegirl, like the lady I told you from the '90s. She's in the hallway with the extras teaching him choreography for
Wow.
their part for their singing in the video. She's also doing that, but she's also steaming clothes. You
Wow.
know, and I'm just like watching everybody running around, do all these other things, like Andy running around, me and Andy having to go get the food,
Wow.
you know, and the stuff that Andy's going through, like the process he goes through, the process his partners go. I was like, yo, this, and you're just in a tight space and you're watching, like in the middle, in the times where you have to hurry up and wait or whatever, and I could hurry up and snap a couple pics here and there, but it's just like I don't know, it was just dope, man. I just got to, and plus I got this dope shot of speech in his I just asked him if he could take a picture with her. And she was like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, sure." And aside from the first one, they couldn't keep a straight face. They just kept laughing, like, and I was just like, "Yes, click, 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 click." I was like, "That's." I was like, "I live for moments like this."
For
It's not,
real. That's the real.
yeah, it's real, because they're enjoying each other and they're laughing. You can tell nobody was posing,
Right.
trying to look cool, or trying to be seen. Like, anybody who was there was invited to be there, was supposed to be there. The other one was more like a bunch of, I guess, people who want to be bigwigs or want to make connect that showed up for the video as in addition to. But it was, I mean, two sides of the same coin, I guess. But
Yeah. Damn. I
I
wanna I wanna ask you, and I know it'll probably take another turn for another half an hour at least, but I wanna ask you about where did you even get the affinity to start taking photos? But I gotta hit the sack soon. So what I want to do is I want to mark this as a part one,
okay.
definitely part one, and we're in adulthood. We're learning about you getting acclimated as a photographer. Recently, you did the arrested development thing, but then I want to dive into that. Where'd you get that from? Like, how'd you take to it? How'd you learn the discipline of it? So keep that in mind because then we're gonna get even deeper. There's a lot more to cover. So what I'll do is we'll probably have Andy tomorrow, or whenever I see Andy, we'll catch up with Andy, and he'll probably listen to this part one, and then part two will be with Andy, and we'll get to really flesh out some
No doubt. We can do that.
more convo. All right, so maybe tomorrow we'll see. Keep it locked. Just we'll see.
No
But
doubt. I won't delete the app. I'll keep it on my phone.
yeah, good looking, bro. I appreciate it.
All right,
Yo,
and I'll have a setup for next time so that way it can stay straight and I won't keep moving around.
bad. I had a little disruption on my end because I went from no headphones to I tried to put on AirPod Pros and it kind of disrupted audio. So I'm
Oh,
sure,
that's what it was.
yeah, I'm sure I'm able to piece it together in case it's because it kept recording afterwards, like a whole new set of hours. So we'll
Oh,
see.
okay. I
But
bet.
I'm glad you came through. I call this the break room because sometimes we gotta stop, pump the brakes, and really take some time to analyze where we're at and where we're going.
Thanks.
But that
Appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you for coming on, and we'll talk again soon for part two.
All right, so do I need to wear the same shirt for part?
Well, what's crazy? I mean, you can wear whatever shirt you want because I only saw maybe
You know
because
what
you
I'm
have
saying,
an iPad.
Phil? Mm.
Maybe it's the iPad, but I only saw myself on screen, so I don't even know if you were on screen.
Oh no, I see both of us. It's on my phone. Yeah.
Oh, so you can see me because I can't see you. All right, good to know. I wonder what. Okay, cool, perfect. So when I hit end, I'm gonna check out the video. I'll holler at you later.
All right.
Later.